Hi, welcome to Conch Productions June 2025 Artist Chat. My name is Magali Colliman Christopher. I am the founding artistic director of Conch Productions, and today we have not one, we have two guests. I love it when we have two guests. Our guests today are very special because we are going to be featuring their films in our CSIFF Community Screening series, June 22nd. That's like this coming Sunday. Allow me to introduce you to now these two films, like I mentioned before, were featured in Conch IFF 2022. And you're asking, so why are we talking about them now? Because CSIFF community screenings, our purpose is to make sure that those people who didn't get to see these two amazing films in 2022 when we were purely online can now see them at Black Spectrum Theater on June 22nd, Sunday from 3:30 to 5:30. Hello, welcome, Diane and Lou.
Thank you. Thank you for
having us. Magdalene. Great to be here, as usual.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now, you know what? My first question is about how you got into this, right? There's so many people who say this influenced me and made me want to be a filmmaker, or that influenced me, or this person influenced me. Let's start with you, Diane. Was there an artist or a film or a particular personal experience that made you say, yes, I want to become a screenwriter. I want to be in film and television?
There actually is. There is a little series called Twilight, which originated from the book by Stephanie Meyer. So my daughter was reading it at the time, and she was so in love with the books that I said, I'm going to read the books too. So then I fell in love with the books. I started tracking when the movie was going to come out and who was going to star in it and who was going to direct it. And I even bought the soundtrack for the film, which I've never done in my life before. But mostly it was the all-female team is what I was excited about. It was a female author of the book. Obviously, the star was female because Kristen Stewart would play Bella. The director was female, and most importantly, the screenwriter was female. And that particular screenwriter had just written another film that I loved called Step Up, which is a dance film. Yeah, that dance film with that got Channing Tatum on his feet. So yeah. I love the fact that it was an all-female team. I love the fact that this particular screenwriter seemed to write all of my favorite movies, or at least two of them at that point. And so I thought, I'm going to look more into this industry because I love storytelling. I love writing. So that's what did it for me. It was the Twilight books and the Twilight movies.
Did you read all the books?
Read all the books, watched all the movies several different times. So
I like the books better than the movies, though, because for me, Edward was way more handsome. No, but Edward was just like, Edward.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with the Edward on the screen. I did. It was a great love story.
He's a lovable dude.
Yeah, yeah.
He grows on you. He grows on you. So yeah, that was it, Twilight for me. And of course, the main song from the soundtrack was by a band called Paramore, and that also had a lead singer who was female. So I just love that whole world. And yeah, it just steamrolled from there.
So it sounds like the female voice, the taking space inspired you.
Always. As you can see with my film called Fab4, love to talk about female empowerment, female friendship, female trials and tribulations, and how we get through them together. So yeah, that's my preferred storytelling and my preferred genre.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Diane. Now, Lou, you're the founder of an amazing production company. So I'm going to ask you, your journey is very specific and unique. What made you say, I want to be a producer? And what inspired you to name your company?
Sure. Thank you for having us again. Appreciate it. But so I'm a co-executive producer. I'm one of 4 executive producers of Madan Sara. So Etan is the director, creator, etc. So what kind of led me into it was a little bit kind of wasn't a straight line. So I was going to the World Cup in Brazil at the time. It was, I want to say 2014, maybe 2016. So I was flying to Brazil. And before I went, my mother was like, Haiti went to the World Cup. I was like, yeah, okay. I thought it was like one of those like, well, I'm from Haiti, they did whatever. I just thought she was just talking, but I actually kind of looked it up. And it's actually true. They went to 1974. They lost every match, but kind of just reading about the story about how they got there and some of the controversies kind of made me interested in to kind of do the film because I don't at the time there wasn't anything done, and still there's nothing done about the journey of the team that went to the World Cup. And this is during the dictatorship, Jean-Claude, not Papa Doc. So I was kind of working on that film, and then I had a friend that also wrote a script, a comedy script that he wanted to get made, but we didn't have any connections into the industry. So we decided to like form a company called Street Team Productions to kind of just be a base for us to, create, you know, own our property, IP, and then create like, anything that we wanted to. So while he was working on his script, comedy script for the film that we're working on now to get made, I started working on Madan with Ethan and the rest of the team. So, being that I was like part of that team and we already had the script going, we had like other projects we were working on, is when we decided to like really kind of go 100% with the company. And obviously, Madan finished first, so we were able to kind of play our part in that and continue playing our part, promoting that film. And, obviously with the script that it's done, but we're trying to get it made now. That's going to be another creative project under our company banner. And, we're just going to try to keep pushing both projects as much as we can because now in the streaming era, things don't necessarily die anymore. They just kind of live on. So for me, the way I looked at it, there is no reason why a film like Paransa should just go away after a year or two because of the themes that are in the film and obviously the times that we're living in now, and a lot of the themes that are in the film are, pretty, they're pretty important, we'll say these days. So we just try to, you know, continue the lifespan of the film and kind of create like a longer path for the film and the topics and the issues and doing stuff like this also helps. And yeah.
So is your focus Haitian specific, Haitian cultural storylines or any story that grabs your attention?
Any story that kind of grabs our attention. Our first couple projects have been Haitian based. So Madan Sara, and now we're distributing three short films from another Haitian filmmaker. So yeah, theoretically, it all is Haitian right now, but we're looking at like other projects as well too.
So let's talk about distribution, right?
Mhm.
Diane, are you involved with the distribution of Fab4 and the Silent Retreat, or do you have somebody else who manages that for you?
No, I'm also an executive producer on the project, so I do try to get it out there in terms of marketing and global eyes on the project. It has, as you know, screened a few film festivals since 2022, and we've signed a couple of agreements which have now expired, but with some of these streaming platforms, and where it is now still on the festival circuit, strangely enough, because people still are finding out about it. People, it still resonates with people. And so because of the film festivals, the streaming platforms will get in touch with you because they saw it, or somebody who is a guest at the film festival, or a producer who was on a panel who was in the audience. So it's still important to get it out there because you never know who will see and who will contact you and who will want to take it further. So whether they want to put it on their platform, whether they want to help executive produce part two. So it's always important to just keep trugging along and keep chipping away at that wall. So I'm still part of the project and trying to keep it alive.
I love that you're both on the distribution end for your projects, right? So let's talk about that because people are asking the question they asked at the top: why screen this at our community screening if it's already been in our film festival? And the conversation is, how do we reach the audience, right? I attended a few panel discussions last week because I went to the Tribeca Film Festival, and the constant conversation is distribution and how that's changed. Now, I know you're taking over the power over the distribution of your projects and both of your part. You're not looking for a distributor necessarily. You're just looking for platforms to distribute to. That's unique. So are you more focused on figuring out who your audience is and getting to where they are, or are you more focused on just getting to a general audience? Because that was one of the points that was brought up, that now filmmakers must know what is their niche. Who are you talking to? Who should be seeing this movie? Because the reason why we have this community screening series is because we're saying everyone in the Caribbean community and the New York community should see these movies, should learn about these filmmakers, because you're all indie filmmakers and you need people to support you when you have your GoFundMe, when you're looking for an investor. So come see the work so you know what to invest in. Is that a new conversation, or is that something that you're familiar with from other experiences where you're doing a lot of community screenings because knowing who your audience is key for you? So that's a very long question. So let me abbreviate it. Have you always been searching for your community, identifying the demographic that you're pitching to, or do you just pitch to a wide audience?
I guess it's a combination of both. You pitch to a wide audience, but because it's also a comedy, because it's also a female-led, and I guess a genre nowadays could be a girls' trip film. It's also, I was made to realize recently, a conversation about mental health, and it's also a conversation about spirituality and, looking inward. So there are also film festivals out there that focus on those niches. And so I have submitted to comedy specifically. I've submitted to female-focused film festivals. I've submitted to faith-based film festivals, and I've submitted to mental health film festivals. So I think if you can spread your wings as wide as possible, you can go the general route and you can also be specific. So that's what I've tried to do over the last 3 years.
Thank you, Dan. Your thoughts, Lou?
So since 2019, we've been doing screenings kind of nonstop, continuously. The film won a few awards, and usually that's their usual route. People submit films, they reach out, if they win an award, maybe they get a distribution, maybe they don't. But usually, when I was like studying, how films go, usually a film will kind of die essentially, or just kind of be put in some catalog of some distributor where they're trying to get whatever they get for the entire portfolio. So it's not just your film specifically, it's about three, could be 50, could be 100, and I thought Madan was too important and too good to fall into that same kind of route, so we just decided to keep our masters, I guess, or rights, if you will, and just kind of promote it ourselves, because I think a lot of films, to promote a film properly, in my opinion, you have to have a lot of love for the film, because that's what kind of keeps you going when you don't hear anything back, or when you don't, get whatever deal that you think you're supposed to get. And I think with a lot of distribution companies, and just naturally, like they're all about like, their portfolio films, not just yours specifically, right? So I think with us, we wanted to keep the film rights and promote it ourselves, and figure out distribution for ourselves. In regards to finding your audience, I think at least when in the US, maybe worldwide, specifically with Caribbean films, a lot of people don't know a lot about the countries, right? I think you could arguably say Jamaica is probably the most well-known Caribbean country, and most people kind of associate it to like reggae, the music, Bob Marley, all that kind of stuff. With Haiti, you know, you're talking about voodoo, you're talking about um, the state of the country, whatever it is at this point. And there's not enough people that actually know, just generally speaking, what life is like in Haiti. It's usually like some disaster or whatever the case may be. So you're kind of swimming against the stream in terms of that knowledge base. So when you come with a film like Madan, which it has those elements, but it's not mostly about that. it's kind of like an eye-opening film for a lot of people. So even when we go to audiences that know about Haiti, they're kind of sometimes they're expecting one thing and they're seeing another, or they're seeing, you could say, arguably for the first time, their life reflected in the film for the first time. So it's kind of like a introduction to people about Haiti and what the country is about and everything else. And I think to kind of do that, you have to, at least for us, we had to keep the rights for ourselves and bring it to whoever we thought that would be interested to see it, because we're kind of reframing the country and reframing the story of the country. And I mean, I can't speak for Fab4, but people kind of walk in, with preconceived notions about some in Jamaica and in Haiti as well too. So when they're coming in, they're expecting one thing, but then they're kind of seeing a different thing. So I think finding the audience, but also re-educating the audience that knows about it, but also educating the audience that doesn't know about it. So then, hopefully they kind of stay engaged over time. So when the next Haitian film comes about, they'll have more of an open mind to it. And,
Yeah.
we've done screenings in Tanzania where, they didn't know about it, never heard of it. And it sounds crazy, but I get it. They're on the other side of the world. Why would you know about Haiti? Realistically. So we were educating them about that, and then once you kind of broke that barrier, they kind of saw similar themes that are going on in their country as opposed to Haiti, and same thing with and where did we go? Singapore. Like we did one where, again, wouldn't know much about it, but we're that's a thing of where we're educating the audience, but then doing a screening in Iowa where they know about Haiti, but not really. We're kind of re-educating the audience. So I think you have to kind of have that balance of educating and re-educating different audiences. And, hopefully over time it kind of catches up.
It sounds like both of you are saying, tell your story and bring your story to the people so that people can wake up to truths that they've ignored, right? Truths about women and women's relationships and, mental health in the Jamaican community, the Jamaican female community, and the strength and the endurance of a people in Haiti that has nothing to do with political upheavals, but just the strength of soul that is forgotten, right? Because you don't really know who the people are. You've just been fed a story that's always embracing the less than motif. Now, I want to segue into the whole Caribbean storytelling opportunity that exists, and what you see for the future of Caribbean narratives, Caribbean representation in film. What is your vision for that? How would you like those lenses to be focused more on the intimate story or on the reconstructing the narrative of the whole nation? That's a big question, right?
Yeah. Well, in terms of global appeal of Caribbean stories, from in the 90s with Cool Runnings, the whole world fell in love with that. And I think over the years, as people are becoming more aware of our stories, right now in Barbados, Ava DuVernay is there. She's there to listen to the pitches of the participants.
Barbados, what's happening in Barbados? What's happening there?
The Cross-Continental Forum put on by Caribbean Tales. So Ava is interested in our Caribbean stories. There are a lot of directors with Caribbean backgrounds who are now coming into the islands to tell the stories, because the diaspora point of view is a very important market that is currently being tapped. So a Jamaican film just won one of the categories at the Cannes Diversity of Film that took place in France a couple of months ago. So the recognition is there, not only in terms of these high-profile festivals recognizing our work, but these famous directors who are also coming to the Caribbean looking for stories, and the ones with the Caribbean background who want to hear more about what their parents went through or what they missed out on as children because they left when they were too small. In terms of the Caribbean appeal, it's there. And I think it's making good stride, like I said, because Ava DuVernay is in Barbados. And next week at Black River Film Festival, we also have producers coming in from North America and Africa. So, you know, they're also interested in our stories. So, yeah, I think that we have the potential to have our own place in the market. And I only foresee good things coming out of it.
Thank you. Lou.
Sure. I think the way I see the future is kind of a couple different things, right? I think we kind of have to deconstruct what we think an audience is in terms of filmmaking. For Caribbean filmmakers to kind of take the next step, I think you have to be a little bit creative in how you see the audience, the audiences and how you promote that to the general public. Because I think if a group of people kind of, take to one product, it doesn't really matter if it's in a park or in a store, you have like a base where you can kind of work out of and then kind of build from there. So I think there's a lot of talent in the Caribbean, a lot of great stories in the Caribbean, but I think more so we just have to find the right venues to kind of, not necessarily theaters, but just all kinds of venues where we can kind of show these films, whether it be an outdoor film festival, maybe it's a group of people just getting together at a park and showing the film there in one of those like giant screens that they have, for outdoor screen. So I just think that we just have to get a lot really creative in terms of like where we show the films.
I love what you said about thinking outside the box when it comes to distribution and not thinking about big theaters, but thinking about the audience and going to where they are. And so that's what we're doing with CSIFF Community Screening. So this first screening, like I said before, is going to be at Black Spectrum Theater in Queens, New York. Now, I want you to tell the audience 2 reasons why they have to come to the screening. You already started with it, but just two phrases of why they have to go, because you just basically pitched it beautifully, Lou. I'm like, yes, let's run that in a few, like a hashtag. Boom. We'll start with you, Lou.
Well, 2 words to say.
Yeah, or just a short, a medium-sized hashtag.
Sure. I think a great way to support filmmakers. I mean, support good films.
Boom.
Let's just go with that. Support good films.
I like great. Support good films. No. Support great films. Boom.
Great films.
Support great Caribbean films. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Thank you. Diane.
Yes, we must support great Caribbean films because you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to think. But most importantly, you must support Conch because what Conch is doing is really important. And the fact that they've put on this community screening free of charge so that the Caribbean people in and around New York can come and enjoy our content, that's also very important. And I know that they survive off of donations. So donations are always accepted and appreciated. So I'll take this opportunity to big up Magali and Conch, and that's one of the other reasons to support this screening is to support her and what she's doing, as well as the projects that will be screened. But yeah, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, and you're gonna think because that's the Caribbean way.
That's right. We think as we laugh, we think as we cry. I love it. Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you so much, Lou. And thank you to everyone watching. So go to www.conchelproductions.com. That's ConchellProductions.com and reserve your free seat. And our event is this coming Sunday. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, this coming Sunday. So get your reserved seat, come and enjoy our 3 films. And this is one of 3 different amazing events featuring awesome films by Caribbean artists. Thank you again. Oh, and by the way, did I mention the first 50 people will get a door prize? Yes. The first 50 people will get a door prize. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be nice to get something, not only more than just your seat for free. Thank you again, Lou. Thank you again, Diane. Have a great day. And you'll get to meet Lou at the screening because he's going to be at the artist chat. So wave hello at Lou when you see him in the theater. All right. Have a great one. Thank you.